I want to see what happens from this. And that's something that I want to watch going into the rest of the year. That's why this news from yesterday is the biggest piece of news for me so far. For those of you guys who are unaware, this is Ukraine right here, okay? This is Ukraine, and this is Russia, okay? So, notice how this is kind of blocked off right here. That's because this is Crimea, all right? This was part of Ukraine until it got annexed by Russia. Here is that bridge that just got blown up that everybody was talking about, right? So, let's talk about this. What's the story behind your costume? Well, this is the outfit that I bought to take to Western Florida for the hurricane. This is what I wore for the hurricane recovery. You're such a cheap bastard. Wait, I'm a cheap bastard because I went and spent $400 on supplies to take myself over to Western Florida to do hurricane recovery, to save people's lives and do what I could to help them in its time of tragedy, and then decided when I got back, hey, why don't I just double up and use that as a Halloween costume? Because instead of me spending a bunch of money on a Halloween costume when Halloween's not about me and it's about my toddler, I'm just happy to be along for the ride to give her a great experience. The helmet and vest are very clean to have done hurricane cleanup. Well, it's a good thing I'm not here to impress you, you piece of shit, huh? Wow, just imagine somebody actually cleaned shit up when they got back. So, Ukraine, huh? All right. This is Ukraine. All right, this is the Black Sea. Now, let's talk about a little bit of history here. Let's go back 1,000 years and then come back to personal relevant times now. I love how, and it's funny. I'm not upset that people think I'm making it up, because I remember I didn't advertise to the world what I was doing. You guys are the only people who knew what I was doing and what I was doing while I was over there. The only thing I put over there while I was there was just the picture of the flag I put together for everybody, because I felt like it was a nice little bit of hope. But other than that, it's fine. I don't do shit for attention, and I don't do it for praise. So that's fine. It's okay that people don't believe me, dude. It's actually good. That means I did a good job of not fucking sucking my own dick. All right, here we go. I'm gonna do this in the construction outfit. All right, so this is gonna be very, very rudimentary, but this is basically Ukraine, okay? And this was the Crimea Peninsula right here, okay? And this is Russia, okay? Now, a few things to keep in mind is this is the Black Sea, okay? Now, the Black Sea is very, very, very important when it comes to the import-export of the area, right? So right here, this is Russia, okay? So you have the peninsula here. Okay, this is all Russia, and then you've got Georgia and all the other things here with the Black Sea, and then it comes back over, you've got Romania, the whole 9 yards, and then this right here, just so you're aware, this is where Istanbul is, or 1,000 years ago, Constantinople, you know, or where the Eastern Roman Empire was, okay? And then you've got the, Greece, and this is the Mediterranean, okay? This is the Black Sea, the Mediterranean, Ukraine, Russia. All right. So now we already know that Crimea was annexed by Russia. Okay. This was during during Obama's administration. Okay. It's 2014. But a lot of people said, well, Russia wanted that because they wanted a warm water port. Now, what does that mean? That means every port Russia has in the winter is frozen over. So they can't export or import things around their country, right, in that area, because it's all frozen. So they wanted what's called a warm water port. They wanted a port to be brought in and out. Well, that was Crimea. Now, here's the thing. Ukraine, which is them and Russia are some of the leading exporters of wheat in the world, and the leading in that region, right? And a lot of Ukraine's exports go to places in Africa and the Middle East and other things. It's a very lucrative, export for them. And you might say, well, Stocky, how does that affect the EU? Well, if the EU doesn't have to worry about shortages in these other countries, then they can get it at a cheaper price. But if these other countries aren't getting it, then they're having to buy from other places that the EU buys at, and that raises prices. So we ended up seeing wheat prices go through the roof when the invasion happened. And the reason that happened is because obviously, farmers were being displaced, crops were being destroyed, people were dying, crops were not being harvested at the right time, weren't being replanted, the whole 9 yards. Then we ended up seeing Russia and their ships, okay, doing blockades and shooting down or sinking or, just stopping imports and exports from Ukrainian wheat. So Ukraine has, even though they don't have the ports in Crimea, they still have their ports here, and here. Okay, so they're still able to export it. Well, a few months ago, a treaty, as it were, a ceasefire happened, and Russia was like, okay, we will allow non-combatant cargo ships to leave, right? And so where do they go through? One of the most important things. Now, Istanbul, okay, which used to be Constantinople, which I'm not going to get into a history lesson about the Ottoman Empire and everything, but this has been one of the biggest one of the most important points for import and exporting in history, right? Because everything that goes into and out of Russia and Eastern Europe has to go through the Mediterranean and through this area, okay? So you've got this right now, but you have the Black Sea, which obviously drops off things for a lot of these Middle Eastern countries. So this ceasefire took place. And we saw when that happened, wheat prices dove, right? Wheat prices dove because now it's like, okay, we don't have to worry about restrictions. But as of this weekend, Russia has now said that they are no longer going to honor this ceasefire. So what does that mean? Well, we don't know yet. We don't know yet. But that brings in some concerns that we could see all it takes is one ship to get sunk or damaged, and it could shut everything down again. And if that happens, you're talking about all those exports once again being bogged down, meaning that we're already dealing with food shortages around the place because of inflation. So remember, the last time we had these export problems, the EU's inflation rate was at 5.7%, 5.8%. Today we got the overall EU inflation at 10.7%, guys. 10.7%. Imagine what happens if wheat, especially if the Italians, they cannot make the pizza and the pasta without the wheat. It's a problem. But no, imagine what we got problem here. And so we could see wheat prices pop even more. So right now we're seeing wheat. And the reason I took wheat shares this morning at $8.90, even though it was already up 4.5%, is because I want to see what happens from this. It doesn't mean that we even have to have one single ship sunk. It could be one blockade, one turned around. The concern, and we could see wheat go again. Remember, we were trading this up to $11. Now, I don't know what's going to happen. Guys, stop trying to spell wheat. I know what wheat is. This is the ticker for wheat. W-E-A-T. I know wheat has an E in it, or an H in it, guys. Thank you. But this is the ticker. Fucking people in here. Now, I don't know if this is going to be all for nothing or if all the gains overnight come down. That's why I have a trailing stop loss right now. But this is why I'm watching wheat right now. Okay, not fertilizer, not anything, just wheat. All right, somebody asked me, somebody said that I hit the nail on the head with talking about the, and it would be a great YouTube video on how to understand the risk on, risk off thing. Food, no food equals civil unrest. Yes, this is a big problem because we're already seeing food shortages in a lot of countries that are having political unrest. We already have Venezuela. We already know about them. But a lot of Africa and a lot of the Middle East right now is having food shortages. And remember, this is geopolitical. Ukraine's biggest exports for wheat are to the Middle East and Africa. The two places that are having the biggest food shortages right now. Now, what happens if an Arab Spring happens, right? Because of food shortages. Then what spikes in price then, guys? Anybody? And what happens when a spike in oil happens? Prices go up again. Everything in the world is interconnected, okay? I'm not giving FUD. I'm not giving anything. I'm just saying if something happens, it's the butterfly effect, okay? The world is interconnected in so many ways, especially when a country whose biggest exports of wheat are to places that are already suffering from food shortages. And if it leads into more, going into a winter when the season's already over, okay, harvesting and everything is over. Now you have more shortages. And whether you want to say the U.S. is the reason, because we have proof in a lot of cases it was, or it's just political change or civil unrest due to hunger, we could see another Arab Spring, and another Arab Spring could lead to a spike in oil prices. A spike in oil prices at an already elevated level could cause even more issues in inflation and recessions. And that's something that I want to watch going into the rest of the year. That's why this news from yesterday is the biggest piece of news for me so far this weekend.